Hello students. In our today's biology session of standard 6, we are going to discuss the human respiratory system. In our last class already we have talked about the definition of respiration, what is the difference of cellular respiration and breathing, how many types of respiration are there, then the difference in between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, like that. So today in our session we are going to discuss the human respiratory system, what are the parts, what are the function of different parts, like that. Okay students, so if you will see the diagram of the human respiratory system, you can see that the human respiratory system starts from the nostril, then nasal cavity or nasal passage. After that, this is the pharynx part. Then the glottis part, that is the opening of the windpipe, or larynx, that is the larynx part here. After that, this is the trachea. Trachea divides into bronchus, enters to different lungs, right lung and one to the left lung. And after that, bronchus divides and subdivides to form the bronchioles. At the end of each bronchiole, there is a air sac or alveoli. So students, first part of human respiratory system, that is the nasal passage. Here in your book you can see it is written that air enters the nose through the nostrils. While passing through the nostrils, which are lined with hair, air is filtered. The hair traps bacteria and dust particles from incoming air. The nasal passage brings the air to the body temperature before it enters the lungs and also moistens the air. So students, our nasal cavity is lined by small hairs. Now, what are the function of these hairs? These hairs actually trap bacteria and dust particles from the incoming air, and also nasal passage brings the air to the body temperature. Actually, our body temperature is higher than the atmospheric temperature, so nasal passage brings the incoming air to the body temperature, and also it moistens the air, incoming air. Now next part of the nasal passage is pharynx. Actually in the pharynx both food pipe and windpipe open. It is a common passage for food and air. So students, in the diagram you can see here that in the pharynx part, actually from the pharynx or after the pharynx, you can see that food pipe, that is the esophagus, and the windpipe, that is the larynx, both are attached to the pharynx part. Now students, if we are in a hurry and we are taking the food so fast, sometimes you can experience coughing, because when in a very fast mode we are eating the food, sometimes the food particles can enter to the windpipe, and if any solid particle will enter to the windpipe, automatically the windpipe will get choked, and sometimes we may die also if the large particle will enter. So that's why there is a natural reflex system, that is the coughing, which actually clears or removes that obstruction. Okay. So to control this thing, this process here, one structure is there named epiglottis that is present as a lead-like structure like that on the glottis part. Glottis actually is the opening of the larynx. Here it is present. This is larynx. At the beginning of the larynx it is present, or beginning of the windpipe. This is known as glottis, and on the glottis this epiglottis is present like that, and when we are eating the food it encloses the windpipe for a little bit, and that time we can't, actually for that reason only we can't swallow and breathe together. Okay, because when we are swallowing the food, that very small, for that very small moment the epiglottis remains closed, and it actually closes the opening of the windpipe and prevents the entrance of the food to the windpipe. Now after the pharynx, that is the part known as larynx, at the upper region of the trachea is the larynx, or it is also known as voice box. The larynx is lined by two pairs of vocal cords. Very important term, students. Vocal cords are present in the larynx. That's why it is known as voice box, that stretch across it. The vocal cords vibrate to produce sound. This entire structure is visible externally as the Adam's apple. This Adam's apple you can see for the male specifically. Okay, it is visible. So in the larynx part, vocal cords are present, which actually produce the sounds. That's why larynx also known as voice box. Now after the larynx, the part that is known as trachea or windpipe, this part actually, windpipe or trachea, the nasal passage leads to the back of the mouth, and this is where the trachea or windpipe begins. It lies just in front of the food pipe or esophagus. The opening of the trachea is called glottis. I have told you that opening of the windpipe is known as glottis. It is present near to the larynx. Okay, and this opening of the glottis is guarded by epiglottis. And what is the function of the epiglottis? During swallowing of food, the epiglottis closes the glottis and prevents the food from entering the windpipe. I have told already, otherwise the windpipe will choke and we may die also. The lower part of the trachea divides into two bronchus, called two branches, actually they are known as bronchus or bronchi, which enter the lungs in the thoracic or chest cavity. Here you can see trachea when enters to the chest cavity and divides into two branches known as two bronchus or bronchi, and which enters to the two different lungs. After entering to the lungs, the bronchi actually divides into bronchioles. These are the fine tubes. Okay, bronchioles. Now lungs are the moist, bright, pink, unevenly lobed structures. Three main lobes in the right and two in the left. Each lung has a number. Actually, why the structure is like that, different for right and left lung? Because you know heart is present in the right, in the left side, so that's why there is two lobes only. Each lung has a number of air sacs called alveoli. I have told you at the end of each bronchioles there is the air sac. Tiny air sacs are present that are known as alveoli. These are the functional unit of lungs. The walls of air sacs are thin and elastic. Alveoli are covered with network of capillaries for rich blood supply. Oxygen diffuses through capillaries from air sacs and combines with the hemoglobin of RBC present in the blood. Actually, here you can see the covering of the alveoli is covered by network of capillary, and through this capillary the blood supply is there, and as it is covered by thin wall, oxygen can easily diffuse through the capillaries from the air sacs and combines with the hemoglobin of the RBC present in the blood. Now here, students, you can see what is hemoglobin. It is a respiratory pigment. Due to the presence of hemoglobin only, the blood is red in color, and what is the main important function of the blood is to transport oxygen. Actually, by that hemoglobin only the blood can transport the oxygen. Oxygen, when combined with the hemoglobin, it forms oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin, when reaches to the cells or tissues, oxygen get released. And now I am going to discuss the breathing and its mechanism. So first, what is breathing? It is already discussed, then also I am telling you once again. Breathing is the process in which we are taking in the fresh air and releasing out the foul air. So air is pulled into the lungs and then pushed out before being drawn it again. This in and out movement of air is known as breathing. It is brought about by the movement of ribs and diaphragm. Now student, this is the backbone. Side picture, it is backbone. This is the muscular sheet that is known as diaphragm, which actually separates our chest cavity or thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity, and ribs are in front, rib cage actually in front, like that ribs are present, and one term is there, that is the intercostal muscles. Actually intercostal muscles are present in between the ribs, which help to move the ribs or rib cage. Now here I am going to tell you what is the mechanism of inhalation and exhalation. You know what is inhalation? That is the taking in fresh air, and exhaling is the releasing out the foul air. Now first is the inhalation mechanism. So during the inhalation, actually what happens, first the intercostal muscles here you can see contract, lifting the ribs upward and outward. The diaphragm muscles contract and the diaphragm flattens. So for the inhalation, the air from the outside should have to come to inside the lungs. So for that, what is going to be happen here? Rib cage moves up or raised and diaphragm gets flattened. Okay. Now if that happens, this volume of the thoracic cavity obviously will increase, and as a result, if any place volume will be increased, the pressure will be less. So when here in the thoracic cavity the pressure will be less, obviously to neutralize that pressure, the air from the outside will come inside. So students, what happens here? First the rib cage will move up, diaphragm will become flattened. For that the volume of the thoracic cavity will be increased, and when the volume will be increased, obviously the pressure will be decreased. So for that the air from the outside will enter to the lungs. Now just the opposite process will happen in during the exhalation process. What happens here? The rib cage lowers, the diaphragm moves back to the resting position or dome shaped position. So for that the volume of the thoracic cavity will reduce and pressure will increase. So by that high pressure, the inside air from the lungs will move outward direction. Okay. So this is the inhalation and exhalation mechanism. Very simple one, just you understand the logic. Now here in the next page you can see the composition of inhaled air and exhaled air. In the inhaled air the oxygen percentage is 21%, and carbon dioxide 0.03, and in the exhaled air the oxygen percentage is 16.4% and carbon dioxide 4.4%. So in comparison you can see in the exhaled air the carbon dioxide percentage is obviously more. Now here the inhalation exhalation difference is there, very important difference students, you have to learn very well this difference. Now next I am going to tell you about the lung capacity and breathing rate. Students, the total volume of the lungs when fully inflated means fully air filled. How much? 5 liters. Okay, it can accommodate 5 liters of air. However, in quick breathing, when asleep or at rest, you normally exchange only about 500 centimeter cube or half liter only. When we are in resting phase, that time breathing rate also is not so fast, so only half an liter we are exchanging that time. But during the exercise, we can take and expel extra 3 liters of air. Okay, during heavy exercise, already in this chapter I have told you that our breathing rate will become high to intake more and more oxygen, and also to supply it to the muscle cells for producing more and more energy. So for that we can take and expel more 3 liters of air. Now there is one term, that is the residual volume, that is 1.5 liters, which cannot be expelled no matter how hard you breathe out. This 1.5 liters of air will be there in our lungs always. Okay, how much hard we breathe out, we can't expel this much of air, 1.5 liters. So during normal breathing cycle, when air is taken in and out, the lungs always contain a residual volume of air, so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for the carbon dioxide to be released. So that is the requirement for the residual volume, or this 1.5 liters of air. For that, sufficient time will be there for the absorption of oxygen and for releasing of the carbon dioxide. Now at rest or during any resting position, sleeping, sitting, like that, you normally inhale and exhale about 16 times per minute. This is the breathing rate, normal breathing rate. Now during exercise, your breathing rate obviously will be increased 20 to 30 breaths per minute. I have told you already why the breathing rate will increase during heavy exercise, because to supply more and more oxygen to the muscle cells for producing energy. Now, the increased rate and depth for breathing during exercise allows more oxygen to dissolve in the blood and supply to the active muscles. The extra carbon dioxide which the muscles put into the blood will be removed by the faster, deeper breathing. It is mainly the extra carbon dioxide in the blood reaching the brain which stimulates the increased rate of breathing. So here you will get that answer, that why breathing rate will be increased during the heavy exercises. Now students, this knowledge enhancer box is very important. Here you will get different type of infections of the throat, that is known as pharyngitis, voice box or larynx, that is known as laryngitis, windpipe or trachea, that is known as tracheitis, bronchus and bronchioles infection is known as bronchitis. Now infection of the lungs by a particular type of bacterium, Clostridium pneumoniae, that known as pneumonia. The patient becomes breathless because fluid collects in the alveoli, reducing the surface area available for the absorption of oxygen. Actually, in this pneumonia disease, the inside the alveoli, the cough or that mucus type of substances or fluid substances is going to be collected, and for that the oxygen absorption capability of the alveoli will reduce and the person will feel breathless. That is the pneumonia disease, infection of lungs. So students, please go through that knowledge enhancer box. Okay students, so by that almost we have completed the chapter, that is the respiratory system. Bye and have a nice day students.